Hello guys, this is Real Recaps. In this video, I will talk about a 2016 Mexican thriller film, Carrion. Before we start, I hope you will like and subscribe to the channel. In the southern part of Mexico, a couple, Manuela and Garbino, travel by boat through a thick jungle and arrive at a small coastal village. By the shore, the woman watches local men playing soccer on the sand, while Garbino inquires with the innkeeper about available rooms. Later, they relax on a blanket by the sea, enjoying the sight of waves crashing on the shore. In the afternoon, the couple visits a hut where Garbino asks King Black if he can rent a surfboard. Shortly after, the surfer offers Manuela a beer and comments on the beautiful view. She agrees, expressing how she would love to live in such a place. Garbino, who's distracted by texting, scoffs, doubting she could survive 2 weeks there, suggesting that she is high maintenance. Manuela then inquires about a chained-up animal, and King Black tells her it's a badger. Curious about his background, she asks where he's from, and he reveals that he's from Honduras. That evening, the couple joins the locals around a bonfire, where King Black performs a rap song he wrote. He mentions his dream of moving to the city one day to record music and become famous. Manuela praises his talent, and when she asks Garbino for his opinion, he reluctantly agrees. During dinner, the couple eats in silence, while a new group of tourists arrives. Later, they make love in their room, but Manuela becomes uneasy when she notices a shadow moving through a crack in the wall. Fearing someone is watching them, she asks Garbino to check, but after inspecting the area, he says there's no one there. Despite this, Manuela remains convinced someone is outside. Garbino, however, dismisses her concerns as paranoia. When Manuela lights a cigarette, Garbino reminds her that he's asked her not to smoke indoors, then turns his back to sleep. She apologizes and puts the cigarette out. The next morning, a woman selling tamales offers food to the couple, but they politely decline, having just eaten breakfast. Later, Garbino takes surfing lessons from King Black. Manuela asks about the birds flying overhead, and the surfer tells her they are white herons. Back in their room, Manuela tries to initiate intimacy, but Garbino seems uninterested. The couple then takes a walk through a thick patch of mangroves before sunbathing on a wooden dock. Manuela brings up a serious topic that Garbino had promised they would discuss, stressing how important it is to her. However, Garbino brushes it off, suggesting they talk about it later since they still have a few days left on their vacation. Suddenly, 4 kids show up, and when Garbino tries to make small talk, they respond rudely. He politely asks them to leave, but the children refuse, prompting the couple to gather their things. As they navigate back through the mangroves, he begins to doubt their direction, suspecting that she is leading them the wrong way. Despite her confidence in the path, Manuela decides to follow Garbino when he insists on going another way. However, after wandering aimlessly through the tangled roots for several minutes, she firmly asserts that her initial route was correct. Exhausted, he reluctantly concedes. That evening, the couple, appearing uninterested, spends time playing a board game. Garbino notices other tourists across the restaurant, laughing and enjoying themselves. After a while, Manuela decides to head back to their room to change her clothes. While there, she tries to unlock her boyfriend's phone but fails. Upon returning to the restaurant, Manuela sees Garbino sitting at the other group's table, laughing and having a good time. Feeling weary, she suggests they head to bed, but he expresses a desire to stay a bit longer, leaving her disappointed. Manuela then sits by herself on the sand some distance away, drinking a beer. Later, she notices her drunk boyfriend asleep on a hammock. Taking his phone, she digs a small hole in the sand and buries it. The following morning, Garbino asks Manuela if she's seen his phone, and she shakes her head. He recalls leaving it on the table. Afterward, Garbino takes another surfing lesson with King Black while Manuela cheers him on from the beach. Garbino proudly asks if she saw him surfing, and she compliments him, and they share a kiss. When Manuela shows Garbino some sketches she's drawn, he jokes about how she captured his physique. In a sweet moment, she expresses how much she misses him, but instead of reciprocating, Garbino lies back down and continues reading his book. Seconds later, Manuela reveals that she was offered a job in Barcelona. Garbino reminds her that he's just secured a stable job in Mexico. Manuela insists that she doesn't have a job there, and if they move, he could easily find one. She adds that all their friends live in Barcelona. Just then, the rude children return, teasing Garbino by kicking sand in his face, taking his hat, and mocking his thinning hair. Fortunately, King Black intervenes, scaring them off. The surfer then invites the couple to join him and other guests for a short trip through the mangroves. Later, the group rows through the mangroves in small boats. When they arrive at their destination, Manuela gathers dried sticks for a fire and notices Garbino talking closely to one of the female tourists. King Black then teaches her how to gut and clean a fish. Soon, Garbino joins them, realizing he and Manuela had spent quite a bit of time alone together. Later, Manuela watches a large spider trap a beetle in its web. After her walk, she shows Garbino a strange fruit she found, joking that he should eat it to see what happens. Garbino, eager to join the group, asks if she's coming along, but Manuela suggests he go ahead and teach his new friend how to hula hoop. Feeling slighted, Garbino walks off in irritation. On the boat ride back, Manuela steals a few glances at King Black's body. That afternoon, a woman over the village pass system announces an incoming storm, advising against sailing in open waters. Later, Manuela notices King Black entering a tent, and as he leaves, he catches her eye. When Manuela sees the surfer watching her shower, she smiles. Hours later, King Black observes her as she takes pictures of tiny creatures in the sand. Garbino soon joins them and asks Manuela if she saw him catch 2 waves. The surfer gives him feedback, but Garbino dismisses it, uninterested. Manuela quietly smiles as she listens to the 2 men exchange passive-aggressive comments. Eventually, King Black grabs his board and leaves. During dinner, Garbino apologizes to Manuela for the earlier incident with the tourist, and they share a kiss. Later, as the couple is in their room, they make love, unaware that the surfer is watching them through a small crack in the wall. Manuela then returns to the beach alone, where King Black appears and offers her a hit from his spliff. After a tense moment, the surfer bids her farewell and leaves. The following day, Manuela notices dark clouds forming in the sky, signaling an approaching storm. While Garbino takes another lesson with King Black, Manuela stays on the beach sketching. Suddenly, she spots a broken surfboard washing up on the shore and rushes to check if Garbino is alright. When they reach the beach, King Black scolds Garbino for breaking the board, but Garbino explains he nearly drowned, promising to pay for it. In their room, Garbino mentions that he suspects King Black wanted him to get hurt earlier. After checking his wallet, he realizes he doesn't have enough cash to cover the cost. He decides to find an ATM, telling Manuela to stay behind. Manuela takes a walk around the village, and buys tamales from a vendor, who asks her name and comments that the tourist season has come at a bad time. While walking down a quiet road, King Black follows her, and when she asks what he wants, he responds by gently touching her arm and leaning in. There's an awkward moment as they both seem unsure of what they're doing, and Manuela decides to walk away. She drops her tamale, but the surfer picks it up, and she retrieves it before continuing on her way. That evening, the locals watch a news report announcing that the tropical storm has turned into a Category 4 hurricane. Manuela overhears other tourists discussing evacuating due to the worsening weather, but Garbino reassures her that they'll be fine. He returns with 2 surfboards, one to replace the broken one and another for himself. He sees Manuela smoking inside and tells her not to do it in the room because of the smell, but she ignores him and smokes anyway. Garbino fans the smoke out with the door and sits down to relax. The next day, Manuela notices a number of dead fish washed up on the beach, surrounded by birds feasting on them. Later, an announcement urges everyone to evacuate the area due to the hurricane. While they hear a tourist report his wallet and phone stolen, Garbino mentions that his phone is missing as well. The innkeeper claims nothing like that has ever happened before. Manuela suggests evacuating with the others, but Garbino assures her that nothing will happen to them. Manuela gazes out at the ocean, watching the storm clouds approach. Soon, the other tourists begin taking down their tents. Meanwhile, Manuela walks into a hut but leaves quietly when a child sees her. Later, on the beach, she sketches while King Black offers her a beer, which she declines. He then touches her arm again, but she pulls away. He tries once more, and she gets up and walks off. He takes her into his arms, but she orders him to let her go. Returning to their room, Garbino asks Manuela if she was with King Black, but she doesn't respond. Garbino starts packing and sarcastically says he'll leave so she can be with the surfer. Manuela retorts that she just wanted them to have fun like before and that his girlfriend should stop texting him, revealing that she's been the other woman. She warns him about King Black's dangerous nature but doesn't want to elaborate. She eventually admits that King Black followed her and tried to touch her, but Garbino insists on confronting him. Soon, Manuela finds the two men fighting, and when they break apart, the surfer threatens Garbino with a machete. Garbino breaks down in tears, confessing that their relationship isn't working. Manuela suggests they leave immediately to salvage their relationship. Garbino promises to find a boat for them. Later, when Manuela lights a cigarette, Garbino asks to take a drag before stepping out. The next day, Garbino hasn't returned, and Manuela worries. She braves the storm to search for him, calling his name. She eventually reaches King Black's house, and when he hears her, he opens the door. Inside, Manuela resists at first but eventually gives in to the surfer's advances. Afterward, she cries, and King Black apologizes. She accuses him of hurting Garbino, but he insists he didn't and claims to have seen Garbino leave on a boat the day before. He asks if she's staying or leaving, and after a moment, Manuela gets up and leaves. Later, King Black offers to give Manuela a ride on his motorboat, but the engine stalls. As he checks the motor, Manuela grabs an oar and hits him on the head, pushing his body into the water. She continues her journey alone. The end. Thanks for watching.